The NFC playoffs are here, folks, and we have so many matchups to talk about, and these are going to be my predictions. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, even looking back at my AFC playoff prediction video, I've changed my mind, but I'm sticking with it. The video's out. It's already posted. I've already uploaded it. Go ahead and watch that one before you watch this one because you'll understand the context of the Super Bowl pick. But let's get into our first matchup because I even hyped up the AFC playoff that I had a lot more NFC upsets and weirder picks, and I'm kind of sticking with it because it was a take that I had about week 12, and I'm kind of having to stick with it even though my process and my beliefs have kind of changed a little bit. I'm sticking with my word. I do believe that once we get to the NFC Championship, my explanation is going to get a little weirder because it's so tough to believe. But with that being said, let's get into our first matchup in the wild card. I'm looking at the bracket right now. It's going left to right. I'm not going by off of who's playing first. It's just what I'm looking at right now. And the first teams we're going to look at is the Niners versus the Cowboys. And one of the most interesting wild card matchups versus two kind of polar opposites. You're seeing a high-flying offense with the Cowboys versus a pound and ground game from the Niners. The Niners have been able to have the league's highest yards per play, which is a huge stat to look at. They've also been able to win with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance on some occasions. And Deebo Samuel, can the Cowboys stop them? And can they also get past Trent Williams in the line to get to Garoppolo? I'm looking at you, Micah Parsons. And will Trayvon Diggs be able to lock down on a guy like Deebo? Deebo will be used in every way possible. He'll be in the backfield. He'll play tight end. You also have to worry about George Kittle. There's a lot for this Dallas defense to be worried about. Not to mention the Niners defense is no slouch either. And the biggest thing that everyone is talking about is, can Dallas play up to the standards that aren't NFC East playoff opponents? They're not playing the Eagles. They're not playing the Washington football team. And they're definitely not playing the Giants. Can they make enough plays? Because when they're home and they're not playing an NFC East opponent, it doesn't really end that well. They tend to lose more times than not. I believe they're around 6-5, in which that's a positive record, but when you compare it to having to play 6 games in the NFC East and they're at 12-4 or 12-5, something like that, it doesn't look that great. You're starting to realize that once you play more playoff level teams that are outside of your own division, that you have to play more than once, things get a little more iffy. And I'm a huge supporter of Dak Prescott. I think Ezekiel Elliott needs to have a huge game here. You're most likely not going to win this game by throwing the ball, and Kyle Shanahan is a smart coach. And that's the biggest thing that I'm looking at right now is I'm not a big believer in Mike McCarthy. I think he's a good coach, not great. He can't really handle, I guess, smart decisions when it comes to time management. And that's the thing with this game is I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to lean one way or the other. The Niners are going to stay in it. And the thing is, if the Niners stay in it late, I'm really going to lean towards the Niners winning this game. It's going to be a big-time upset. It's a popular upset right now. And sometimes when those popular upsets happen, the favorite almost gets to be the underdog at some point. And a lot of people are wanting the Cowboys to lose. And I could see the Cowboys winning this game. And it would make things very interesting in this bracket because it would practically change everything. I think they would end up playing the Buccaneers in the next round. Spoiler pick. But I really do think that would be a very interesting matchup in the later round, but at the same time, I just don't think that they will win this game. I think the Niners are the more physical team. The Cowboys are more flash, and they're not a lot of bronze. Now, they could show it if they power run and Ezekiel Elliott shows flashes of his former self, then great. That's what they need to do in the playoffs. Being more physical than the other team is a huge benefit. We saw it with the Packers. They lost multiple games in the playoffs through previous years because they weren't the more physical team. They were more finesse, if anything. And this Packers team looks a little bit more different. Not completely, and we'll talk about once we get to their matchup, but being more physical is a big deal in the playoffs because it's one game. You don't get multiple chances at this. And when it's close and you're able to get 10 yards, you're able to get 6 yards, whether it's through the running game or through just quick jet sweeps or touch passes to Deebo, it's a big deal to be able to get those chunk plays. And if Trayvon Diggs allows for 120 yards, if he gets a pick, that's great, but he needs to get the pick in the fourth quarter when it matters most. And I just don't have a lot of trust in the Cowboys. I haven't had trust in them in my entire lifetime. But I trust the Niners. They've been in this position before. They were in it last week. I understand they threw the kitchen sink at the Rams. No doubt about it, they had to. That's a win and get in kind of game. But at the same time, they ride off momentum, and they've been riding off of that momentum for a long time. And I really do think they beat the Cowboys in this situation. So I have the Niners upsetting the Cowboys in my first upset of the NFC playoffs. Let's get into the next matchup as we talk about the Cardinals versus the Rams in a Monday night showdown versus the Cardinals, who are stumbling and tumbling in this late of the end of the regular season. If that sentence made sense, I wish it did. But the Rams are getting back J.J. Watt. That's a huge deal. That's a pass rusher. That's someone to try to throw Matt Stafford off. Matt Stafford's going to throw a couple balls that are going to be really iffy. That's a huge deal. You need to capitalize on that. Byron Murphy, Budda Baker, you have to catch those picks if he throws them. But the problem with the Cardinals is they've never been in this position before. I love Kyler Murray. I love James Conner. There's a lot to like about this team, but they've never been in this position before, and I don't think they're ready for it. As much as Matt Stafford really hasn't been in this position, the entire Rams team has really been there. You have Aaron Donald. Jalen Ramsey was there last year when they won off of Jared Goff with a hobbled arm. You have so many guys on this team that have been there. They've done this. They've even made it to the Super Bowl, some of these guys. Even Von Miller, veteran leadership is going to show out in this game. And that's why I'm very high on the Rams. They've gone all in this year. That's going to pay off. Odell Beckham is going to want to show out. Cooper Kupp is going to want to show out. Van Jefferson is going to want to show out. I really do like the Rams. And the thing that excites me the most about the LA Rams is their versatility. They're getting Cam Akers back. They have Sony Michel. They can run the ball. Little do people know is the Rams are known for running the ball. As much as Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford's hit the headlines, Sean McVay wants to run the ball. And that's why I think that they're so dynamic when it comes to the playoffs, that they've become one of the most dangerous teams. They're the Buffalo Bills of the NFC. They have a Mike Tyson punch. Now, if Matt Stafford cannot throw the ball into coverage, which I don't know if he can. I'm banking that he doesn't. I'm going against the grain because a lot of people think that he's going to throw a pick and it's going to ruin their season, and they've gone all in on this quarterback that can't win them games. I believe in Matt Stafford. I know he knows. I know. This is his time to shine. There's something about Georgia winning the national championship. The Georgia curse is lifted. Maybe Matt Stafford could be the one that wins it all. I don't know, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But also, I would like to mention this Rams team reminds me so much of last year's Buccaneers team. They've gone all in this year. They did not win their division. Oh, wait, no, they won their division, which is not something the Buccaneers did last year, but they've surged as of late. Yes, they lost to the Niners. I do think the Niners, unlike the Rams in that situation, needed to throw the kitchen sink, where the Rams understood that, yes, a win would have been nice, but this is where you show out. This is where you prove that you are the better team than the Cardinals. I'm not doubting the Cardinals could pull off an upset here, but it's a tall task versus a team that has been there. They've done this, and if the Rams lose this is a huge disappointment. The stakes are high, and I know Sean McVay knows that. The standard, the projection is Super Bowl for this team. Even though I believe there's a ESPN FBI prediction that said they had a 3.8% chance of winning the Super Bowl, they know that they're underdogs right now, and they have to step up to the plate. You have home field advantage. This is your stadium, and you are going to have to go on the road for the rest of the playoffs. This is your one chance to show out and prove that you are a viable playoff team if you're the LA Rams. That's why I have them moving on into the divisional. Next matchup we have is the Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles, who no one expected to be here. And sounds familiar? Because this sounds exactly like the Washington football team of last year. Guess who they went against? The Buccaneers. And they made it very close. And I know Tom Brady really wants to make sure that it's not close like last time. I like the Eagles. I like what they're building. They have 3 first-round picks this upcoming draft. When I go to draft coverage and I start analyzing, they have to hit this draft out of the park. You can't have a 2020 Dolphins draft, because that's the difference between staying mediocre and potentially taking over the NFC East. I love Jalen Hurts. This is a Jalen Hurts show. But the problem is you can't run the ball on the Bucs. Without Vita Vea on the field, you can run, but their linebackers are still so good and so fast. They play the run so well. The thing is, we didn't know what we were getting out of Taylor Heineke last year. We did not have any film and any expectations, and he blew it out of the water, and he showed that he's a viable backup quarterback in this league. Taylor Heinicke deserves a job for the next 5 years as a backup. Obviously, he's not ready to be a starter, but he deserves a contract somewhere. But the problem is the Eagles run the ball really well, and it's going to depend on whose line is going to play better. Is it going to be the offensive line of the Eagles, or is it going to be the defensive line of the Buccaneers? And I think the defensive line of the Buccaneers is going to show out, and Tom Brady is going to slow this game down, make sure the Eagles are off the field, and he is going to showcase why I believe that he should be in the MVP conversation easily. A lot of people want to discredit him, but without his weapons, he's going to showcase that he can still dink and dunk his way down any field with whoever is catching the ball. It's going to be time to show off Leonard Fournette. This is what playoff Lenny is, a real thing, and it's time to show it versus this Philadelphia Eagles team that have not been a playoff team and have only been beating lower tier, lower division teams. They have not beaten a team in the playoffs, and you know who have? The Lions, twice. I just don't believe in the Philadelphia Eagles to make this one close. There's always one blowout when it comes to the playoffs. All these games are going to be close. Even the Chiefs versus the Steelers. I mentioned it in my last video. But this is my one blowout. I think the Buccaneers blow them out of the water, move on. Next page. Let's go into the Packers versus the Niners. This one sounds familiar, huh? This one sounds a little familiar because the Niners have beaten the Packers in the playoffs multiple times. Whether it's Kaepernick, whether it's a couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. This Niners team's not a Super Bowl roster, though. I don't believe it. And I think this is the Packers' revenge tour. This is the redemption tour. I don't see Aaron Rodgers leaving the Packers. And if he does, it's the Broncos, and that's it. And that's if they lose this game. This is the biggest game of the Packers really franchise right now. And I know it's a divisional, and I know if they move on, the next game is bigger, then the next game's bigger. But this is to prove that you can beat a physical running team. This is to prove that you can beat Jimmy Garoppolo. This is to prove that you can move on and get to that NFC Championship once again and get past that next step. And I truly believe that they can do it, and they beat this Niners team, get over that hump. This is just the next step. And with that being said, and me talking about the Packers, I'm changing a pick, and I'm changing one major pick, but you'll see. Next matchup we have is the LA Rams versus the Buccaneers. We got to talk about it because this is a matchup that we saw early in the season where the Buccaneers got blown out of the water. Tom Brady and crew got blown out of the water by the LA Rams in LA Stadium. And I know Tom Brady is seething to get this opportunity back. This is a huge deal for the Buccaneers and crew to make a statement against the LA Rams, who are going to throw the kitchen sink at Tom Brady. And the thing is, I've gone back and forth between this game. I have had the Rams all the way in the Super Bowl and getting out of this round. And I've had them getting bounced out of the NFC Championship. I've even made a TikTok talking about how I think the Rams could make the Super Bowl. And the more I think about it, these games are coin flips. I do not know who could win these games, to be honest with you. I go back and forth, and there's just nothing telling me that one team's going to be better than the other. But I go back and think about how hard it is to beat a team twice. It's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult to beat a team twice, especially in the playoffs. That's why I have the Steelers keeping it close. I have the Bills keeping it close. I have the Bengals keeping it close against the Titans. The Cardinals keeping it relatively close with the Rams. It is so difficult to beat a team twice in the same season. You get a second look at the same roster, some injuries, some are new acquisitions, and especially when it's a blowout like the Rams did to the Buccaneers, it's so hard to win it again, especially with blowouts, because you have so much film on how to fix things, and the Buccaneers are going to change so much with their game plan, and it's at their home stadium. It's not in LA. And I really think the Buccaneers win this one, move on to the NFC Championship, where they face the Packers in another rematch. And this game looks incredible. This game looks beautiful. But I think this is the Rodgers revenge tour. This is the last dance. This is the year of the G-looking logos. Georgia, Atlanta Braves, I know that's an A, but at the same time, it's just these curses are being lifted, and you don't get to another NFC Championship without at least making it to another Super Bowl. And if Rodgers does not beat either the Rams or the Buccaneers, I will be shocked, because this is the year for them to win the Super Bowl, and that's why I have them beating the Buccaneers at home in Lambeau. This is a different year for the Packers. This is the first year in 4 years that I've picked the Packers to make it to the Super Bowl. I've been right in the past 4 years in saying the Packers will not make the Super Bowl when it has been a popular preseason pick. I feel like I'm going to regret it, but I'm going Packers, Bills, Super Bowl in a Josh Allen versus Aaron Rodgers clash. And the more I think about it, it's going to end up being Chiefs versus Packers. I'm going to clip this out, but I do have the Packers beating the Bills, the hottest team in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills. I'm saying hottest as in they get through the playoffs and they'll be the hottest team coming out of the AFC. And the Green Bay Packers win the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers re-signs with the Packers, and Jordan Love gets traded to the Steelers. I don't know. I'm getting weird. I'll go through a couple of alternate picks that I would go with, but that's my official pick is Packers versus Bills. Packers win it all. Congratulations to Aaron Rodgers as I get all these picks right? But a couple things before I end the video that I want to talk about. I've considered a couple things. Cowboys potentially beating the Niners. A lot of people are doubting the Cowboys. I do see the Cowboys potentially winning this game. They're obviously the favorites. It's at home. It's in Jerry World. They don't tend to play well in Jerry World, but at the same time, it could still happen. They're a really good team. They go and play the Buccaneers. As much as it is very hard to beat a team twice, I think the Buccaneers would beat the Cowboys and keep Dak Prescott and crew off the field, allowing for a Rams-Packers rematch in Lambeau. I would actually potentially pick the Rams in that situation where we would get a Rams-Buccaneers NFC Championship, and I would take the Buccaneers to go play the Bills, and then Buccaneers win the back-to-back. Quick change in my AFC predictions. Not changing anything. I'm still sticking with whatever I said in that video is what I posted. I'm sticking with it. But my gut is also saying potentially we could have a Titans Super Bowl. I could see it happening. It's so hard to have a 1 seed not in the Super Bowl. That's why I have the Packers going all the way. But with that being said, I do think the Patriots could sneak into the Super Bowl and go play against the Buccaneers. I think the NFL would love that. I think it would be insanity, but I just don't believe Mac Jones has the firepower at this point in his career to get a team to the Super Bowl. It's so hard to get a rookie into the Super Bowl. If the Patriots were beat the Bills this weekend, I would most definitely think the Titans could beat the Patriots once again in the playoffs, allowing for a Chiefs-Titans rematch in the AFC Championship where I would have the most likely the Chiefs. And a Chiefs-Packers is something that I would love to see. It would be a rematch of the first ever Super Bowl, but it's the common pick. I think it could very much happen, but I'm still sticking with my weird pick. You got to get weird in the playoffs. Crazy things happen, and I'm shooting from half court, and I'm not even Steph Curry. So I'm going Bills, Packers. Packers win it all. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go watch some playoffs, and I'm about to get into some college football offseason stuff, and we're about to get into NBA coverage. Thank you so much. Check out my other social medias, and have a wonderful day.